Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Now, I don't wake up every day thinking, man, I can't wait to be bearish on altcoins, but over the past couple weeks, over the past couple months, these are videos of similar ilk in the What Could Go Wrong Wednesday playlist, and it has been bearish broadly alts for quite some time, and a lot of that has been because of a stall in liquidity, a bearish picture for BTC, and the effects of higher for longer taking hold broadly every day. It's a new business failing. It's mod pizza today. Never been there, heard good things. When we've got stuff like that going on, it's harder to keep your alt on page 400 up on the day. You know, people are trading meme coins because they're moving. People are trading the three majors because they have some fundamental value, but for the most part, a lot of these other coins really have nothing going on at the moment. So Fed funds rate in the red, US Fed funds rate still not budging. FOMC minutes came out today. You can read hawkish, dovish into that. Depends what you want to see. I think they're going to maintain their hawkishness generally until they cut, and that's how it's going to be. The green here, global liquidity, trying to tick up. Year over year, global liquidity is up, which is not on this chart, but US liquidity also just ranging. The big thing here has been the reverse repo drain has counteracted QT, and that has helped with the liquidity picture that would look much worse than this had it not been for the reverse repo drain. But that drain has largely ended, and since it has largely ended for the past couple of months, Bitcoin alts really haven't done anything. We're just ranging up here. We're getting very close to breaking down in a bigger way, potentially. We don't need to, we don't have to, but if you told me today, hey, I need you to make a bet for the next 4 weeks, do you think higher or lower first? I would have to say lower first. I mean, there's somebody selling, feels like T-wapping BTC. I don't know if it might be in the billions. It might be related to the Gox coins. I don't think it's somebody taking a short. I think it's somebody selling a large whale. That's what it looks like anyway. Just because for the past 3 weeks, it's been nonstop selling. This is dominance, not really going anywhere. It's certainly not favorable for alts. On high time frames, you could say maybe there's a triple top here. On low time frames, there's an inverted head and shoulders, but there's not really anything to discern on that chart. Total 2 against the cloud, not bullish. Can tell you that much. And the other thing about TA on total 2, it hasn't missed. So it's not like, I feel like there's these people that are like, oh man, I got a long every dip because I'm going to miss it. Well, the next opportunity is going to be price above the cloud. We had such an opportunity a couple weeks ago that went nowhere. And so now we've moved from neutral to bearish. I'd say a decent support at 950 billion-ish on total 2. But at this point, we just need BTC to stop bleeding. And we can see that bleeding happening on Coinbase versus Bitfinex. If we look at the two together here, it's clear that the discount on Coinbase is growing. The premium on Bitfinex is rising. But there's a lot of selling going on, and alts are not having a good time. Before we talk about BTC some more here, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Ventures Inc., PVI, DBA, Kraken. Now, Kraken did list BODEN a couple days ago, I guess a couple weeks ago now. It actually had, this is kind of a metaphor for the rest of the market, but it made an attempt. But when those attempts break down, you have to listen. And it's no surprise it is where it is. This might have been debate night. I don't remember, 27th or not, 28th, something like that. Something silly to just watch. I certainly don't trade it, but another alt that caught my eye would be ENA. And this too had quite the inverted head and shoulders. Not enough data on Kraken just yet, but this thing has just been completely demolished. Just tons of coin issuance. I'm not saying ENA specifically here, but it's just in general for alts. A lot of issuance and no buyers. And this is what you get, right? It's just been down only since listing on Kraken there. So it's tough. It's tough when you have supply unlocks. It's tough when you have significant issuance being sold into the market into nothing, essentially, right? Thankfully for BTC, we don't exactly have selling into nothing, but we definitely have more sellers than buyers. You know, at this point, again, higher or lower. Looking at this chart, I'd have to assume lower. The weekly Kijun is at 49. We had an attempt at a Dragonfly last week. It's a holiday week this week in the US. Maybe liquidity is low. Maybe we get some wider bands on price. But what I don't like is closing below the 20-week, 2 weeks in a row now, opening below the 20-week moving average, and seemingly just continuously crushing lows here. Does not bode well. Does not bode well. And this is an altcoin video, but it's important to get this right, at least for BTC, because BTC is down 3-4% today. L1s Memecoins down 12-15%. So you have to have some barometer as far as what's going on here. On the weekly, we're on the bullish side of the weekly cloud, but you know we got some room to give back here for sure if we want to. On the daily, we're not below the daily cloud yet. This could save itself, but there has been zero evidence over the past week and a half, let's call it, to open along, add to along, do anything here. It's in the cloud. The cloud is neutral, range-bound chop already. But when you got the bearish TK cross, you got the bearish Kumo twist. The next step is the bearish Kumo breakout. And the worst part about this seller who's in the market right now, again, I assume it's just one person. It could be multiple entities. I don't know. It could be Germany, US government, miners, Gox coins. Like it could be all that stuff. But collectively, we've just melted over the past 3 weeks. And it's much of the same. Even on low time frames here for BTC, we attempted a bounce. We attempted a triple bottom. And I still see people drawing all of this stuff as rising wedges. I mean, give me a break. Okay, yeah, you're right. It broke down. I could draw a rising wedge on any time frame on every chart forever. But be careful with those rising wedges because eventually they won't break down. But yes, this one broke down. Attempted a reversal and just couldn't hold on to it. It's like, you know, the seller left for 5 minutes, came back, was like, oh, I can sell more. And this is maybe the bigger problem. We are getting ready to fall below the 200-day moving average, getting ready to lose this pitchfork, this rate of change. I don't think we're going back to the 200-week, but anything's possible. And if Bitcoin's down 40% for the rest of the year, alts will be obliterated. Obliterated. So at the very least, you want to wait on the alt side of things until these charts start to look a little better for BTC. Here's an older pitchfork. It would be a mean reversion back to the pre-ETF levels, basically. Doesn't have to happen fast. This can happen as, you know, it's like a slow-moving dumpster fire freight train right now. It's like just grinding, inching every day, lower, 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 lower. But it's certainly not bullish. Anybody who tells you this looks bullish is kidding themselves, okay? Sol on the weekly, it's above the weekly cloud. It's got a bit of a descending triangle here. It's below the 20-week moving average as well. I like how this is set up later in the year, but it's going to be a very challenging July. It's going to be a very challenging Q3. Something else I noticed today, legacy obviously all-time highs on the S&P, on the NASDAQ. We had some jobs data that was favorable for weakness in the economy, and that didn't matter for crypto, right? We just kept going down, kept going down. Thought process there being bad news is good news. It wasn't good news for crypto. Didn't matter. So this could also be related to the UJ and the dollar, but even that was down today. Solana on the daily couldn't quite get back above the cloud. I don't know if I would even trust this signal in the near term anyway. If it did get back above the cloud, there was a low time frame. Inverted head and shoulders I'll take a look at, but even that, it just isn't conducive for trading at the moment. We do have this broad mega head and shoulders pointing to 82, and look, it's possible. Everything's on the table. Everything is on the table. That might be the video title. Everything is on the table. Here's the 2 hour. You can kind of see the inverted head and shoulders attempt here that just got obliterated today. Just down, you know, like, okay, right? How are you going to fight that when all we have in the market is selling every single high every time? Sol BTC also looks like a head and shoulders to me. You know, this could be a triangle. It could be a lot of things, but until it breaks one way or the other, the bias for me is down. You could say, well, there's some sort of diagonal resistance up here. Okay. But until it's back above the previous high, this certainly is neutral to bearish for sure. And just all the more reason to say, look, Alts, even the winners, even the big ones, the big daddy, Mac Daddy, Sol, ETH, just not it. ETH, you also have this double top candidate, as well as closing below the 20-week moving average. And hey, we may bounce 20% tomorrow, but again, higher or lower on this, I'd assume 2,800 for ETH. We've got the ETFs probably coming, approvals next week, launch maybe 2 weeks from now. Within that time span, market doesn't seem to care. There was a falling wedge here. Market doesn't really seem to care. Tried to hold above the cloud here as best it could. A valiant effort, but the 3% down day on BTC just wasn't enough to hold ETH at those levels. So back into the cloud it goes, and there's no redeeming bullishness here whatsoever. You could say, okay, well, maybe I'll take a stab at the low. Well, the low again is at 2,800. And the cloud metrics on the daily are flipping completely bearish. Looking at ETH on the 2-hour, just nothing but bearishness since the high was put in after the ETF announcement. So we've kind of had like 2 up days in the past 2 months, relatively, and then everything else has just been melting like a snow cone in July. ETH BTC does have a bit of a inverted head and shoulders. It has a bottom attempt in the making. It is above the 2-day cloud, and I think it's even above the 3-day cloud. A bullish Kumo twist on the 2-day cloud. There may be some July dynamics here with Mt. Gox coins being sold and the ETF coins, or ETF being approved with the ETH unlock consideration. There's a lot of moving parts here, but it's stopped going down at the very least, right? It's held this range now for 8 months, 10 months. I think it's going to take another 2-3 months into Q4 for this to actually break out, but it's starting to look better. Sol ETH as well, lots of chop. Ascending triangle failure, maybe. Trend failure certainly doesn't necessarily favor Sol at the moment. Ultimately, if we are bullish, you'd expect all the L1s to do something. They're not. None of these charts have looked any better over the past couple weeks. All these are still head and shoulders. Link, AVAX, Rune, DOT, IMX, Filecoin, all of it not bullish. Not even range chop at this point. It's down chop. And the meme coins have just gotten meltier and meltier by the day here. Pepe, the strongest among them, head and shoulders on that, looking better. Now we will probably see some sort of pop attempt on the ETH ETF approval announcement, and that's the next news test. Will that have staying power? Will that bring people back post July 4th holiday weekend? We'll see. But how we stand here now, not a lot of bullishness to talk about. Really nothing, until if this then that. When we start to see BTC recover a little bit, okay, show me a weekly green candle, right? We haven't had a weekly green candle in 4 weeks. So until then, it's very hard to get constructive on alts, and looking at the layer 1 alts, you'd want these much lower before even thinking about touching these, I would think. None of this is for me here. So that's all I got for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.